Hello, I'm Rhea Pepper, a fifth generation cotton farmer out of West Texas and the catalyst and co founder of Textile Exchange. In this series called On the Ground, I'm speaking with fellow fiber producers around the world to make sure their voices are heard in our community. We want to learn about their hopes, their challenges, the best practices around all the different textiles that we have available. In this second episode, I'm in conversation with Pedro Otegui, the director of Lanas Trinidad, the main producer and exporter of scoured wool and combed wool tops in Uruguay. He's the fourth generation of his family wool business, and he gives us an introduction to the global wool industry, how Uruguay fits in, and how business has changed over the 100+ years of his company's operation. He also mentions an innovative way that one of his farms is adapting to drought risk, as well as telling us some personal highlights and the foreseeable challenges for the industry. Welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure to be able to visit with you, Pedro, and to learn more about the work that you're doing with wool. And so for starters, let's have a little bit of a geography lesson. Where exactly is Uruguay, and how does it play an important role with wool?
Well, thank you, Rhea. Good afternoon to all our friends. Uruguay is a part of South America. We have two neighbors, Brazil and Argentina, and we are facing the Atlantic Ocean. So we don't say that we have low population, we say that we have limited population.
And when you look out your window, do you live in a city? Do you live out on the farms?
I live in a city, Montevideo, which is our capital. Go to the farms from time to time. We have farms in the family, but mostly I work in the office in Montevideo.
So Uruguay is one of the top producing wool countries. There's several, but tell us a little bit more about the sheep and the wool, and what are the kind of primary breeds that you work with there in Uruguay?
Well, long ago, the biggest production here was on the coarser wool in the corridales. And lately, in the last perhaps 15 years up to now, the finer wool production sheep were increasing on the merino side. Merino, Duni Merino, Polworth. So I should say that Uruguay nowadays produce a lot of very fine wool in the range of the 17 to 20, 21 micron, less on the coarse side.
Shifting in the marketplace then. So this is a family business that you grew up in, Lanas Trinidad. So it dates back over 100 years. So can you share a little bit more history about the company? And, you grew up there. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, the origin of our family, they came from the Basque country, in a part of Spain, but we are hard-headed. And they came to Uruguay in the late 1800s. And then in our family, we are fourth generation of Oteguis that have worked in wool. My grandfather, father, some brothers and myself, and also the fourth generation in the wool activities. Well, they already started some years ago. They are still young. And it has been a family company since the very beginning, and late 1980, 89 to be more precise, a French group, Chargeurs, joined the company as a partners, and since then we are partners in this operation.
That's great. Gives you a lot of market access. And so a lot of the wool is grown in the Southern Hemisphere in various countries, and the primary markets are going to be the European and American.
I should say for us, traditionally, it has been, let's say, around 40% Europe, another 40% it was China, and 15, 20% we said other countries like Mexico. Obviously, Mexico exports majority to the States, but also some countries in the Middle East like Turkey, and also South Korea and Japan. We are lucky we have the farmers here next to us, but 95, 99% of our market is abroad. It really is a fantastic job because almost every day you are in contact on the one side with the farmers and on the other side with our customers that normally are spinners or weavers, different continents, different countries, different cultures, and really it's very enjoyable.
That's wonderful. So when you talk about the wool, obviously the wool comes from the sheep that you, like you said, you work with the farmers. So what do you actually do after that wool is sheared? What do you do with that wool once you get it?
We have two important places here in Uruguay. One is what we call barraca, which is a big warehouse. It's the place we get the wool from the farms, and we prepare the lots on greasy basis. And then we have next to the barraca is in the city of Trinidad is a scouring and combing plant. So we start with the greasy wool. It comes from farms, and then we scour, we comb, and that is the raw material we deliver to our customers spinners to prepare, spin the wool and to weave.
Tell me a little bit more about what you do day to day. You mentioned
Yeah.
marketing to talk to everyone in the globe, but give me a little bit more definition about what you do.
At the origin of the family, they were getting wool from farms and selling to other traders. So thereafter, in the 50s, my father started on the export at the beginning of the greasy wool. After the war, visiting customers mostly in Europe and in the States. And in the 60s, the family started with an scouring plant. In the 70s, we started with a combing mill. And
well, it has evolved over time. Yeah, this is great.
Growing little by little. But so we moved from, at that time, there were 5 principles for a contract or for a business that used to be quality, quantity, price, payment terms, and shipping.
Yep.
And thereafter, with the years that came, then it's not just that is not enough. You have to include first at the level of the industry side, so many accreditations on mostly on the ISO, but that was at the company level, I should say, inside the walls. In the last move, it was included the farming area for overall the social responsibility with the people, with the laborers, and also with the animal welfare and how we take care of the environment. Those things are, I think, nowadays pillars. So you have so many things that now are part of the business that years ago were not existent.
So tell me a little bit about what you're doing around water.
We used to have a connection for water from the national network, and more than 20 years ago, in cooperation with a farmer very near to the city of Trinidad, if the summer was dry, the farmer was facing problems because lack of water. And also, if we were in summer, it was dry, the national network in the city, they were telling us that you have, like in the soccer, yellow card. In case of situation goes for worse, would have to stop the service to you. So we thought it was better to find another alternatives with the criteria of rice producing farm that they have big reservoirs of water. We make a deal with that farmer for 30 years. So Lanas Trinidad built the dam in his farm. He could get as much as water as he needs for the farming activity. And on the other side, as Trinidad, we also were in a position to get as much as water as was needed. Just for you to have a reference, Rhea, the reservoir guarantees us water for, let's say, 4 to 5 years of mill work without having any kind of rain in the country.
Building biodiversity, like you say, sharing with the farmers for that water security and providing water for other habitats and animals that are there. So that's very, very proactive. And so as you think about, as you move forward into how you're taking care of other issues, you've done quality management systems, environmental management systems, occupational health. So you guys have been very progressive in taking care of all the other issues. Like it's not just your primary of scouring the wool and getting the wool and connecting the farmers to the market, but you're also doing it in a way that's really taking care of people and planet and securing other things. That's kind of a visionary thing to do. Do you consider yourself a visionary?
Well, I should say that also we have to thank God, because here in Uruguay, normally we have very, very good weather conditions. Our summer is plus 30, 32, and our winter is close to zero. No snow, no big storms. So the only problem you may have here is that people is rather lazy.
So you're saying you have over 338 farms certified for the wool. And so what do you feel like this access has done, to help promote healthy markets for the farmers? And what do you see as opportunities going forward?
Well, first of all, Rhea, I should say that really we appreciate very much the introduction of textile exchange into the wool market. Your organization was not involved in wool, and many of your members, they are coming from the textile industry, but far away from the wool. And the development of the RWS protocol, we consider it brought a good light to the overall wool business. Especially, you are putting a lot of attention in many of the things we have already just mentioned today about social responsibility to the workers, care with the environment, and animal welfare. So those things that we are convinced, I mean, as you realize, many of the topics that people is talking today, we started more than 20 years ago. But the point is that how to go ahead with, at the same time, on a daily basis, you are competing with people that they don't spend one single cent in all these things. And you have that the consumer or the buyer, our buyers, for 1 penny, they sell your mother-in-law.
I love that this has been a family business. So when you think about some of the key lessons, like if you had one thing to tell your sons and grandchildren, as you think about passing on your legacy and what is coming next, what have you learned from your ancestors and what do you want to make sure you're passing along to your children and grandchildren?
I think the important is something that we learn from our ancestors is that still for us, the value of the given word is top.
Absolutely.
Of course, we have problems every day with farmers, our customers, on the other side, the spinners and weavers, but it's something that is still in the wool business. It goes on almost everywhere. I mean, you don't have new people coming into the picture every day. So you have, in most of the cases, very traditional companies that has been running the operations for not less than 50 years. So you know to each other, you know the people by their name, with the family, sometimes you know the children. So really, even if we are, in some cases, we are competitors, we talk to each other like friends. No, I mean, in business, we kill to each other, but outside of the field, we have good cooperation and good connection.
It's like an extended family, many cousins, many people. So it's like, you're right. It's in one way, the globe is very large, but when you start really working together, it is a fairly small community. Any little words of encouragement? Our verbs for Textile Exchange are aspire and equip. So obviously you're an inspiration, but when you think about equipping and really connecting more into the brands and getting more engaged in the market, what are some of the lessons you've learned and what would you like to see more engagement or more involvement on?
Well, first, I should say that on the traceability, a lot of people making noise and a lot of smoke around. Now everybody has to talk about a new certifying body and new this and new that. And really, when we started with RWS protocol, your Textile Exchange, first time, I mean, we as an individual company, since the first day, we catch the bus. And I remember Rep came to Uruguay to pay a look and to visit our facilities and some farming. Stuart Adams, he was Australian. And when he was young, he was living in a farm. They had a lot of merinos animals there. So it was really very nice because you were talking with someone that he knew what's going on behind in the kitchen. And we toured the country almost a week, visiting farm places, this and here and there. And it was a summer that just by luck, we got a lot of rain during that summer. So everything was like a golf cart. Yeah.
Yes.
And then after a week, he said, Pedro, really, Uruguayan possibilities are excellent. You know very well that if someone goes to you for home for dinner, your wife will take care of everything and the house will look beautiful. That happened to me here in Uruguay, but I know that you can organize the visit in one farm, in two farms, but not in the total country. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and really, he was of a very good help to us at the very beginning.
Well, it is something that's definitely growing, and we see more and more brands and consumers and countries that are wanting to see, clear benefits on, taking care of the animals, taking care of the land. So you are definitely on the pioneer and the leader, kind of the leader tip of the spear of driving that change. So when you think about your relationships with the local farmers, what efforts do you make to support them and incentivize them? And have you had to do a lot of training or, helping the farmers to get into the program? Or how would you describe some of your work with the farmers?
Well, first of all, is that here everybody lives next door to the other. And big majority of the wool we buy every year comes from the same farms every year. In our country, a farmer sells the whole lot. In some other countries, they have several laboratory certificates for one original lot, and they are selling it in pieces in the auction system. So it's much closer, the relationship from us as a buyer to the farmer than when you go to a market that they are selling by auction that you may buy one time, but not next day. So that is one point. And during the year, some cases, we are helping the farmers with advances of money. If they are short, they knock the door. And then on the other side, and especially with the RWS, is that some of the farmers, they knew by heart what they have to do, but sometimes it was not in order or the priorities. So the protocol helped us a lot to talk the same language to everybody. And as we said, we have more than 300 farms in the system. But something that is very, very important, Rhea, is that farmers are free to sell the wool to the best option they could have. I mean, of course, we have to do our homework. But if tomorrow a farmer comes and says, Pedro, I would like to sell you, but I got such a price from another competitor, they are free. And that was I think the best tool we have to convince the farmers that they were not coming into a jail. Lanas Trinidad pays for the eventual cost of the certification. Normally, we do the homework with the farmer first before the official visit of control union, the certifying body. So to be sure when they have to present the exam, the result is good. And then we have our own team of people that they know the protocol without reading. They help the farmer to be ready for the moment the certifying body comes to the farm. And on top of that, now a lot of people is talking about regenerative. And so far, it's not a protocol for regenerative. It depends.
It's a discussion item, and a lot of more research is needed to define, because you're doing a lot of that already with your land use and the rotation of paddocks and grazing. But you're right, it's still something being explored and developing some guidance and around how best to do restorative and regenerative practices on the land. But I know that that's something you're already way in advance of, with the way you guys have had generations and generations on the land.
Yeah, but a big difference, Larrea, is that, for instance, as we mentioned before, the natural conditions of the country. Second, and also very important, is that this part of the world was discovered just 200-300 years ago. And in Europe, in China, and in many other places, the soil and the land was under production since more than 1,500 years. So it's a big difference there. And really, as I said, officially, the sort of emblem of Uruguay is Uruguay Natural. More than 20 years ago, the mind of the government is also to go on that direction. But when you talk about regenerative, it's not a protocol, it's not a booklet for that. Every farm has its own conditions. And in some places, you go here to a place and the same farmer on the same day, he's running different productions in his place. Cattle for beef, sheep for wool, forestry, agriculture. In most of the cases, they have the possibility to choose where to go in terms of production. And when the price of the wool is good, they will incentive to produce more wool. But when the price of the wool is not good and they have a better option with the rice or with the soya beans or with the forestry, they go there. And once they go out of wool, really it's almost impossible that one day they would come back.
Oh, very interesting. Maintain that diversity of the whole system, not to go just to soya or just to rice. They need to keep
exactly.
Integrated system. What is your main vision for the future of Lanas Trinidad, and what would you like to share in closing comments with our audience?
First of all, if with the growth of the quantity of people every year, are millions of new consumers coming into the market every year. The world population is growing and growing and growing, so you will need more textiles by sure. The point is what kind of material those textiles are coming. We can see the glass half empty, half full. If we are sure that tomorrow more people will decide to buy clothes in more natural fibers, taking care of the social responsibility of the people and many other things, the future is great. If at the end of after this job, we continue that just the people is buying by price and no one cares what is going on with the pollution, then the future is more complicated.
No doubt about it. It's really a challenge. And this is why we need to tell the story and really show the true benefits of and the value of taking care of land and people and animal welfare all at one time. And so it's about caring not only about what you eat, but what you wear and how we're taking care of everything around us. So I think it gives us a great opportunity. It certainly is an obstacle to do more consumer education and more brand education, but that's the opportunity as well. Like you said, glass half full, glass half empty. It's kind of both. and it's up to us to really take advantage of that opportunity. Well, it's been so great to visit with you, Pedro, and looking forward to learning more and hearing more about it. And of course, we'll share the word that it is important to wear clothes that have value and that take care and help convey the value that you have in fibers and in planet and in people. So it's so great to partner with you and learn more about your program. Any closing comments?
Thank you very much to you. And you are most welcome to visit Uruguay whenever
Perfect.
you can. Yeah. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you very much.
All the best. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.